You might have known this about me already, but I love books. And you might be starting to figure out that I'm really loving these books about animal migration and migrating animals. So here's one for today called Migration by Gail Gibbons. And I won't read every single page because this is a really long book and there's lots of really important words on the pages, but we'll read a lot of them. So let's get started. The beginning has a little bit of a refresher on migration, which a lot of it we know, but we'll just review to begin with. Let's get going. In the animal kingdom, some creatures are becoming restless. They are beginning to feel the need to move. Migration is about to begin. Here, hang on a second. Let me close. There's like some sun shining in that's making it hard to see the pictures. Different groups of insects, birds, and mammals, both land animals and underwater ones, will head off in different directions. They will leave their habitats. Animals migrate to try and reach climates that are better for them. Often animals move to mate and to raise their young in more suitable conditions. And we know all about that, right? To get food and water, to have their babies, or to find better conditions. Back and forth, these migrations go through the years. According to seasonal changes, each species knows what it needs to survive. An animal's needs depend on where on Earth it lives. Some animals will travel thousands of miles or kilometers to their final destination. Others migrate short distances. And I'm going to skip a page here and head over to this one. This one's called Migration in the Sky. And I'm going to show you that picture so you can get a good look. Okay, here we go. It's hard to believe that tiny, delicate insects can fly long distances. Birds do this too. Insects and birds gather into groups of the same species to migrate. Small and large birds fill the skies. Many birds point their heads in the direction they will travel to tell others in the group the way to go. So many different animals there. Well, you know what? Before I turn, let's just read some of these. Tiger swallowtail butterflies, rosy maple moth bluebirds, locust merlins, luna moth, hummingbirds, whooping cranes, blue herons. Okay, now let's go. Often birds and bats migrate at night. Mallard ducks use the North Star and the patterns of the stars to guide them. Mexican free-tailed bats, mallard ducks. Canada geese fly in a V-shaped formation because it makes flying easier. Ripples in the air from the V-shape create an air path so the geese don't have to flap their wings so hard. Sandhill cranes fly very high in the sky into the upper air currents. They soar on thermal winds, so they don't need to flap their wings as much to fly. Arctic terns migrate farther than any other animal. They can fly from the North Pole to the South Pole and back. They follow the sun's path to stay warm. Interesting. So they're going for a suitable climate. This says migration on land. Land animals migrate to better climates in search of food and to mate and raise their young. In Central Africa, there are mass migrations of animals seeking fresh grass, water, and a better climate. Here we have zebras, wildebeests, and gazelles. Caribou travel in huge herds. Some herds have more than 100,000 caribou. In the spring, they migrate north. There's the caribou. Elephants live in herds and migrate. Usually they travel to areas where water holes have filled or formed from recent rains. This also means there will be more food. It says elephants usually travel in groups of up to 400, and they surround their young to protect them. Many animals migrate over land looking for just the right climate. Polar bears and reindeer. And this says migration in the water. A lot of migration goes on underwater. Some birds actually migrate by swimming through ocean waters. In the winter, emperor penguins migrate to places where the ice is thick enough to support a large group gathering to have their young. Sea turtles spend their lives in the ocean. A few weeks after mating, the female migrates to a beach to lay her eggs. Then she covers them with sand and hurries back to the ocean away from predators. Here's some different sea turtles. Look at them leap and splash. Salmon come from the ocean, fighting their way up rivers and streams as water rushes toward them. They are migrating to their spawning grounds to produce their young. There's the salmon. Some tuna migrate to find better feeding areas or to breed. Swordfish do this too. Huge walruses live in the Arctic region. They migrate south in the fall to find food such as snails and crabs. In the spring, they migrate north to give birth and raise their young. Some sharks migrate too. Whale sharks are the world's biggest fish. They migrate to the best feeding areas to find safe places to give birth for their young. They swim about 7,000 miles a year. Gray whales make the longest migration of any mammal. They swim up to 12,000 miles during their journey. Because they are mammals, whales need air. They must surface to breathe oxygen through their blowholes. Okay, let's see if there's anything. Blue whale. The biggest whale of all is the blue whale. It is the largest creature that has ever lived. It can be 100 feet long and weigh 180 tons. These whales migrate to warmer waters to breed. People enjoy watching insects, butterflies, and birds flutter and fly as they migrate to their new climates. Some people go to zoos where they learn about the migrators. Others go on whale watches. Back and forth, year after year, migrations keep animals on the go. Here's a picture of a whole bunch of different animals. Okay, there's a lot of information in this book. We read the story part, but there's also little tidbits of information in every page that we didn't have time for. But I suggest, if you can get this book from the library, or you might have this book, just read some those other facts. Have someone sit down and read this book with you. It has lots of information, and we'll read some more things in this book as we go too. But for today, I just wanted to read that much to you. And we have a project to do. Now, what we're going to do today involves some sorting. So you have a paper that looks like this. Okay? Your first step today is to cut out all these different boxes. See these ones up here that have the numbers? Keep those ones aside, okay? But then just cut out your animals and those can all go in a pile together. Okay, so I'm going to cut, you cut, and then we'll meet back. Okay, I've got my cards cut out, and remember I kept these 3 separate. So I want you to spread out all your animals so that you can see them. Okay, so spread them out. And while you're spreading them out, I want you to look at these animals. These are all animals that migrate. Okay. Now today, when we were reading, we read about 3 different ways that animals migrate. And I don't want to tell you those ways because I want you to try and think and remember. You can use these pictures as your clues, okay? You're going to sort these into 3 categories, okay? So you're going to make 3 groups. And each of those groups migrates in a different way. And I don't want to tell you, I want you to be a detective today and figure out what those 3 ways of migrating are. So you're going to sort these into 3 groups. Okay, you'll notice that all the animals in this group migrate a certain way. All the animals in this group migrate a certain way. All the animals in this group migrate a certain way. Okay, so after you have them into their groups, and I'm not going to actually put them in their groups right now. I'm just going to kind of pretend, but I want you to actually put them into groups. Okay, there's 5 animals for each group. And then after you do that, you're going to say, okay, these are the animals that, and I'm not going to say it, and I want you to write on this line what it is, what the category is, okay? What's the category about these animals? What do they have in common about migration? Okay, on this one, you're going to write what these animals have in common about migration, right? Maybe I'll just do it this way so you can see. And then these ones, what do they have in common about migration? Write it here and put it here. Okay, and remember it's about the way that they migrate. So you're going to look, there's 3 different groups here, and you're going to think back to our book, okay? We read about animals that migrate in this way. Then we read about animals that migrate in this way. And then we read about animals that migrate this way. Okay, think about how they move, how they travel. Okay, that's my one clue. Think about the ways that these animals travel. Okay, there's 3 different ways, and you're going to sort them into 3 groups. Okay, so you're going to have to be a detective. So put on your detective hat and get ready to do some sorting and then label your groups. Okay. Go ahead, detectives, do some sorting and then label your groups. I'm excited to hear what you come up with for your different groups. Alrighty, have fun.